Hey, how's it going? So basically, I'm just gonna watch your VOD and then I'm gonna write up all of these notes here. Oh my god, that's blindingly bright. So yeah, basically I'll write down all the notes afterwards on this and I'll send that to you on Fiverr. Also, I'll make sure you can copy it on the video as well. Let's just go straight into it. So you said in your thing, you said your laning is inconsistent, you die to ganks too much, especially when you have a farming jungle and they have a ganking jungle. Fair enough. Also don't know what to do when I'm behind macro besides catching waves and you don't know how to carry games into Fed mender. A challenger player with 99% win rate told me most games are won in 15 minutes. I don't know how he did that. I think, do you play on EU? I don't think you said, and I didn't check your OPTG, but I think the only people I can think of that have reached like master or challenger with like really high win rates are people that are duoing. Like I remember Leader played a lot of Irelia, and he duoed with like a jungler that was like playing another snowballing AP jungler. I think it might have been like Evelyn or something, and they just like stomped games early. And I think it is very true. Like a lot of what happens in the early game does like snowball the game. It's a little harder in season 12 because there's a lot more comeback mechanics. But for the most part, yeah, if you can build big leads in the early game, it does translate to a lot of the wins most of the time. Let's have a look at this replay. You're playing Irelia versus Ahri. You should be able to build a 1v1 lead, and we'll kind of see what you do with it. And I'll pay particular attention again to like your macro when you're behind, playing when you're the Fed member. And what was the other thing you said? I'll just read that again. Oh yeah, you die to ganks too much when you have like an AFK jungler basically. So right now I think you're doing fine. You punish that cooldown nicely. Actually gonna all in this guy. Okay. I mean very nice. Good start of the game. So this is like really good, honestly, because this this is definitely gonna be like you have the ability now to carry this game. And we're gonna see like why you're not able to basically. So good replay choice, honestly. I bet this happens for you a lot on Aurelia because like it is a champ that normally you can snowball and get ahead with. Let's see, so you base, you grab the, what do you buy, longsword and boots? Is that the best buy? Probably, yeah. Did you buy a potion? We already had that. Okay, whatever. You come back to lane, now, there's like a few things you need to like analyze here. First, it's that like, you've gotten this kill, right? She still has flash, which means like, she can like flash charm you, and also that you don't have flash. Another thing you need to consider is that both sides of your river right now are unwarded. So basically, it's really scary for you to push right now because you're pushing with no, like flash disadvantage, and you're gonna push like with no wards. So in this situation, you really need to freeze the wave. So hopefully you do that here. It's basically the perfect opportunity to freeze the wave. The only thing that would be bad about it is potentially allows Wukong to invade your jungler, but I think Yi is actually fine in the 1v1. So this is good. Right now you're just letting it come to you. And you punished this cooldown kind of nicely before. Okay, don't mind that. Just fishing with the E. So like in this sort of situation, oh yeah, so your Yi's getting ganked here. I don't think there's anything you can do for this guy. Yeah, I mean, you realize, right, that he's just dead. He's taking a lot of orders. Okay, you dive in. I think this is pretty bad. Okay, so this obviously is really bad, but I'm going to talk about like more why it's bad. So like obviously you know that when you do this, like in hindsight this is bad, right? Because you die. But I want to talk more about like the reasons how you can like know this is bad before you do it. So the first like thing here is that your jungler has like just died. So like a big thing, not all the time, but like a big thing that you should be careful of is when your team knows where your jungler is or knows like that your jungler is off the map. So in this case, they know that your jungler is dead. Like there's no way he can help you at all. That's like a situation where you just need to play safer because it's like, you know, or the enemy team knows at this point that no matter what, you can't get help. You know, there's no help coming from your jungler. There's no chance of a counter gang or anything like that. So this point is like a really scary situation for you to play aggressively. And then if we talk about like another reason here, it's like you're diving onto an Ahri that has like a significant minion advantage and you don't have a flash. Like I think even if the jungler's not here, it's likely that you take quite a bit of damage here that's not really worth it. Like obviously the jungler being here is what gets you killed, but I think just here it's like I don't think you can run down the Ahri anyway. Like it, and obviously like she's just staying here autoing you because like she knows that she can set up her jungler here. So like you die, And that's like really big, obviously, because like not only does your laner get the kill, so it's gonna be harder to snowball on them. Also, you miss this like really massive wave, and this is like I guess why um you're like having trouble. Is that your mic or mine? I guess it's yours. This is maybe why you're having trouble kind of like being the Fed member, because like you had this giant lead. You really had like a good path to snowball the game, and now you've made it like way harder for yourself, because I would say like compared to your opponent, like the enemy mid, you're actually behind at this point. And that's like a really horrible spot to be in, because as we were kind of saying before, like if you want that like snowball the early game all the time, that kind of like 99% win rate in games, you need to play really clean early games, and it's not enough to just get kills and just snowball over the lane, but you also need to make sure you don't give anything back. And this is like this has made the game really difficult for you. And I'd say that like you can't underestimate how big a difference that was. I'm sure like you know by now like how bad it was. So I think like you can definitely recognize in that moment that your jungler was dead. You can play way safer, and also like you were down flash, and they had a like really big minion advantage. Although it doesn't matter as much on Irelia. So here, you're gonna push in the wave, and after this, you should be back in a good spot. The reason is this wave is gonna bounce back to you, and then like you're gonna be able to freeze this and play aggressively onto Ahri. So let's see what you do here. Ahri's gonna push this wave into you. Ahri's used Q. You can maybe look for a slight punish. You have a ward down, so you shouldn't be too scared of their jungler at the moment. I think you have enough vision to play aggressively. See, another Q is used. I think you could probably trade a bit more aggressively on some of the. Okay, yeah, okay. I like what you're doing. It could maybe be a bit quicker, but like it's pretty good for the most part. Okay, so this is a really good spot for you to be in. Is like where the wave is on this side of the lane. Like you probably realize, right? When the wave is in this spot as Irelia, you're in such a good spot. Even if you take damage like this, like I think you should realize that like you can probably all in this guy, although you're taking a lot of damage. Good jungler's here. Okay, so you get Ahri's ult. You're in a like really good spot. Okay, yeah, he has no dashes left, I think, or maybe one more. Okay, good. You're definitely playing well on a mechanical level. Let's see what you do with this wave. This is kind of an interesting situation because it's like, okay, one thing is, again, your jungler just showed mid, right? Like your jungler just crossed mid, which means they know where Yi is right now. They know that he has exited topside. So with that like knowledge of where your jungler is, it's much harder for you to like just like like they can play more aggressively knowing where Wukong is. Like she can just hug to bot side and she's fine. So here, I think Ahri's actually making a mistake. I think Ahri should keep this wave in the middle because it's quite scary for you to have this wave pushed against her at the moment because again, she still has flash and also like you don't. So like you're really gankable at the moment. So I don't think you should be autoing this wave. I understand why you're autoing it. It's like so you can get it low and queue it and get level 6, but you're not under any threat from her because she doesn't have R, right? So I think you pushing this is pretty bad. I think this like gives her a lot of freedom because like the only way like okay, if Ahri doesn't have R, she's like super all-inable by Irelia, right? If you hit level 6 and the wave is here, Ahri just dies, like, or she has to flash, right? But if you hit level 6 and the wave is under her tower, if you're full HP, you can probably dive her. But you're half HP, like there's no way you can dive her in this situation. So again, you're like looking for a trade. Nice dodge. Okay, you die. So in my opinion, this is another, like, you played this well mechanically. You dodged, I think, every ability you could here. But from a macro sense, this is a really poor time to be like doing this because, okay, first off, I don't think you should push this wave. I think it would be better for you, like with no flash and with your enemy mid down like mobility, it would be better for you to just like want the wave to come to you. Another thing is, I guess you got kind of unlucky here. Your ward just expired, right? And your Yi is moving out of here. So like if you trade at this very instant, you actually have no vision on either side of mid lane right now. Like you're essentially trying to push the wave with no flash on half HP. And it's no surprise that you die here. Like it's just like really obvious, right? I guess the only thing you could have done mechanically better here is if you hit this E onto Ahri, you can Q her, but then I don't think you have mana for R anyway, so I think you probably wouldn't get anything out of it. Okay, so you die again. Obviously, this hurts your carry potential a lot. The one nice thing is that Ahri used Flash, so you might have a chance to punish this. Like coming on the map and pushing this in instantly. This will make the wave push back to you. Okay, what are you doing here? You push the wave. You roam top. I don't really like this, but let's see how it goes. On this guy, nice stun. Okay, you get a kill. Have to flash. Okay, let's talk about why I don't like this and why I think despite you getting a kill, it's bad. So you push this wave instantly, and then you look to roam. I think that's normally good. I don't know if you've like ever like considered this, but I think like if you can roam before this wave, you can see this right. If you can roam before this wave hits the tower, it's really, really good. So that's nice because it means that you're going to get back to mid wave in time. The reason I don't like this is because you're going somewhere where it's very, very difficult to secure a kill. The reason is Vlad has no CC, and this is a set with Flash. So basically, this is like someone that is going to be very, very difficult to kill, and you have no real CC to lock him down. I'd say that like if you had like even if you hit stun, right, like he could have flashed this, and also despite him like basically playing it as badly as possible, right, like I think he might have been able to ult to kill you as well. You essentially ran top, you burned both your sums and R, and you had to give up a mid wave as well. So I actually think it was like pretty bad. So yeah, I think like a champion like Irelia isn't that great at roaming anyway, so you really want to make sure you have high percentage roams, and so roaming to places like without flash, places that have CC are much better. You can't roam bot here either because like your bot is just like getting destroyed. The best situation here probably is to just sit on a ward or try to get wards in the enemy jungle somewhere. And we just create pressure. But I think this, again, like walking top, you don't get any farm out of this. You miss the wave. You do get a kill, but you invest all your sums. I think it actually puts you behind. Like, your enemy mid is ahead in levels over you now. You're still probably going to be able to do well into him because I think Irelia beats Ahri in the 1v1. But it's definitely, like, I don't think it was a good use of kind of, like, your sums and stuff. Let's see what's happening here. Nice. Yeah, really nice. Okay. That was a good punish. You play these trades really well mechanically, but I think it's like more your game knowledge that's lacking. The Ahri uses Q. You know she doesn't have flash. If you can keep the wave here, it'd be good, but it is a lot of creeps. Do you have Vamp Scepter? I think you do. I haven't checked, but like you have a ton of lifesteal, so I'm assuming you have Vamp Scepter. Okay, I'll actually show you something here. I think you're right to queue these ones, but I actually think at this point, okay, so you need to queue these ones, right? Because there are too many, and Ahri is like used her spells, like, and also you need lifesteal. But after this queue is used, I think you can actually queue these, and you can drag these creeps out. Because like you know, the Ahri right now, no R, no flash, so she is dead. If she comes anywhere near you, she's dead. So basically, you want to try drag these creeps just up to here. You can afford to tank them because you know Ahri has no spells. And also, like, you have a ton of lifesteal. And that would mean that this next wave that comes, it's going to come out here. And then around where you are now, it's just going to pool here. And she won't be able to farm that wave. And if she tries, she's going to die. So she gets a... Oh, she was going for a free base here, which she would have gone off if you didn't stop. You take a charm and a little bit of damage. It doesn't really matter. You have an insane amount of lifesteal. So this is, again, in my opinion, quite risky. You are once again pushing the lane with no flash, half HP, and no wards around mid. So to be honest, it's just, like, I don't think you had any knowledge of Wukong, so the fact that you live on this lane is just luck. Like, you are lucky that he's not here, basically. Nice kill, but it's a 1v1, so not super great. I mean, it's better than nothing. But I think like all these deaths and all these mistakes, every single one hurts your carry potential, right? I think it is true that you're playing better than your mid lane opponent, and you're playing the trades like very well mechanically, honestly. Your early mechanics are pretty clean. You can do your E's faster, but other than that, I'm pretty impressed. But the problem is that you're just setting yourself at such a disadvantage that you could be so far ahead, and instead you're just like not. Okay. So here, it's like same thing. You're walking on the map. You don't have flash. The one nice thing here, though, is that you know where Wukong is. So you can actually play super aggressively here if you want. Although I think, again, if you freeze the wave, it's pretty hard for Ahri to actually play the game. because if she comes near you, she just dies. So I think here you could probably thin like half this wave. Like, okay, I think Ahri has to like burn all or die here basically. Okay, you missed stun. I like what you're doing with the wave here. Like, this is better in my opinion. Like, you can afford to tank a lot. I think it would have been better. I mean, if you had stun, it would have been good. So I think that was just like mainly the stun problem. Wave is in a good spot. Like, I like this, right? Like, it's more difficult for Ahri to farm up here than it is if the wave's in the middle and she's still vulnerable. Like, you can play off these creeps when she goes to farm them. Yeah, I think this is good. Miss Ebel, I mean, it was pretty ambitious. The same thing. This is another wave where you have no vision. I'm actually surprised. Have you not bought any pinks? I think maybe that's part of the reason. Like, you always just have like permanently no vision. I haven't actually checked, but when you're playing these really aggressive champs like Irelia, it's very nice to pick up a pink because it allows you to play more aggressive in these kind of situations where you can't really see. Really nice mechanics. Wow, you actually one-shot that guy. He played this very well. I think again though, like, did you see Wukong? You saw Wukong top here. Key bases. Okay, I think you can reasonably assume that Wukong isn't here yet. He's probably clearing. But again, it's like you don't have any vision. So it's like a little scary. But I like that you went for it. I think the odds are kind of like in your favor here that he's not here. I actually can't believe how much damage you did. By the way, you actually one-shot. So very well played. You get another kill. Come back on the map. Did you have Bork? Yeah, you have Bork. So you're in a really strong position. I don't know if you didn't have enough for pink again, but like you really need to get a pink one of these bases just so you can like play more aggressively. Okay, yeah, like okay, this is a really good example. Again, no vision either side, but Ahri can't play the game if the wave's on your side, and also if the wave's on your side, you're completely safe from any ganks. So when the wave is in this situation, it's just perfect for you. Yeah, like Ahri can't do anything. She just takes half her HP. I don't. Ooh, okay. Okay, yeah, I like that. I was gonna say I don't think queuing that was good, but you just, I'm just like not expecting the crazy amount of damage. Yeah, see, this is perfect. Okay, so like you know what to do at least some of the time. You're just not doing it enough. I feel like probably wouldn't push. Well, I actually no, I think you're right to push this because I already most likely based. So yeah, I like what you did there. Get 2 plates, very nice. I actually didn't base. She did some weird roaming things. Okay. The bot lane's here now. Your bot lane is kind of getting destroyed. Don't think this probably just have to farm. Yeah, I mean this is a very bad death. I feel like this one doesn't really need much like talking about because I feel like it's really obvious like what you did wrong here. I guess like the reason you can know it's wrong is basically like you're 1v3, right? It's just like, it's just not really an opportunity. I don't want to like go into it too in depth because I feel like it's sort of obvious, but you also need to realize like how much this again hurts like your carry potential because like, yeah, it's just like you're off the map, you give over more gold, you lose golden XP there, so very rough. Definitely like harder to carry when this sort of thing like continues to happen because like if you look at like how strong you are, like you've got like a big lead. I'm pretty sure you have like a big CS lead over your opponent, and you've solo killed her what, like twice? So like you're in a really good spot. But the problem is that you've given so much back that like you're not really that strong compared to everyone else in the game. Like if you compare yourself to Ahri, like you're ahead, right? But the reality is you're the same level as basically everyone in the game, and you're not really that far ahead in terms of gold over everyone else in the game either. So like if you want to carry the game, you need to be the strongest person in the game, not just stronger than like your opponent, if that makes sense. So every time you make these mistakes and give stuff back, it makes it harder for you to carry the game, essentially. Like what you're doing here, this is creative. This is really cool. Okay, so you get a double kill, I'm guessing? Yeah, that guy's dead. Does this guy flash? No, he's dead. Okay, nice. Very well played. You get a wave, you get 2 kills. Did you get any shutdowns? I don't think so. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's very good. Brom shouldn't be sharing this XP with you. 10. Okay, I actually want to show you something here. So, okay. It's like, I think you were kind of right to take this fight, honestly. I think if you'd played this a tiny bit better mechanically, you would have won it. You can get an extra Q for lifesteal on this thing here. You can also use it to kite out his R, right? Like, you don't need to take the second R. Also, I think if you had held your stun longer, it would be much easier. Like, you know, basically that he's going to use clone with R. And it's quite hard to kind of like use your E during that time. So I think you can win this, right? But I think even with those mistakes, like, look how close the fight is. Basically, if you get like 2 more orders on him, he's dead, right? And so it's so close, despite you making these like mistakes in this fight, to where if you were, say, level 12, if you were 4-0 instead of like 4-4, if you'd had like the extra gold, if you'd had the extra XP, you would kill this guy. And if you killed him, I'm pretty sure he has a shutdown, right? We'll see when you next show the scoreboard, but I'm pretty sure you kill this guy, you get the shutdown, and you get the bot tower. So it's like all these like little mistakes are starting to add up to being the difference between like being able to carry this game and being unable to carry this game. So this guy, he kills you. Oh yeah, so he would have had a small shutdown, I think, so not the biggest deal, but like it would have been something. Now you're quite behind. I mean, you can still probably 1v1 pretty much everyone, to be honest. You walk on the map. That's sort of unlucky. I think it's kind of surprising that Wukong is here, honestly. You don't have flash. Yeah, I'm not... More going to talk about that later, I think. I don't think that's the biggest deal at the moment. So you say in the mid game that you struggle to kind of like make macro plays other than catching waves, and I think that is definitely true. Actually, no, I'll just talk about this now. That is definitely true, right? Like, when you're behind, it's much more difficult to be proactive, especially when you're playing a champion that excels in side laning and excels in skirmishes, as opposed to a champion that makes picks, right? Like, if you're behind as a champion like Ahri, like if you're the opposite of this, like she can still make picks, she doesn't really need to side lane, she can still be very effective. But when you're behind on Irelia, there aren't many macro plays that you can make when you're behind, so you do just need to catch waves. But stuff like this, like, okay, this death is a little unlucky, right? But you talk about, like, you're not sure what you can do other than catching waves. I would say just catch waves. And this is not catching waves. This is dying to the enemy jungler, right? So if you had instead just, like, waited for the waves to come to you and caught them, it's much better than if you just die, right? Like, you're maybe looking for plays that just aren't there. Like, the reality is you're behind on a champion that, like, sort of can't afford to be behind. So, like, your options are going to be very, very limited. You walk back on the map, you catch this wave, this is good. You can push this probably like a little bit further and then you got to peace out. You get this all the way in. Nice dodge. Gonna back off. Yeah, I mean, like, this is good. I think this is basically all you can do at this point. Come back, catch more waves. Freezing, I like it. Cut. This is... Okay, I would say this death is more obvious than the last one. The last one, you, like, poured it into bot side, right? And you died. But I think this one, it's like, your entire top side jungle is lit up, and you just saw, like, Lulu into bot side, so it's, like, a really high chance that they have people in bot river. And I think in this situation, like, all your pressure is top side, your jungler is top side, all your wards are top side. So you can't walk up on the weak side here. It's just too greedy. If you were stronger, you could probably 1v1 this guy, but I think, like, now... Yeah, okay, he fucking owned you. I didn't even think it'd be one-sided, but... It was pretty one-sided. So, like, what I'm trying to say here is basically, like, if you were just catching waves, this would be fine. But actually, you're not just catching waves. You're doing a lot of dying, and giving away a lot of gold, and also missing a lot of these waves that could be caught. This is good, right? Like, you wait for the enemy to push it in. Here, like, you waited for Wukong to show mid. Now you can push this wave. You farm camps. That's good. They got Baron. I don't think there was anything you could do about that. Maybe if you had realized they were going Baron earlier, could you have realized? I think here you could realize that they're going Baron because you know it's like not fightable. Rather than doing Gromp, I think you could probably get this bot tower and get the objective bounty. So that was a... Yeah, you could have got that bot tower if you'd realized earlier. I think it is maybe a little high level for you to recognize that in time. But if you had, it would have made a big difference. You push out bot. This is good. I think Irelia sucks at defending like Baron. So I actually like this. I like that you're trading rather than fighting. This is a smart play. Yeah, honestly, really smart play. Base on top. I mean, this is all good. You push this in. Yeah, I mean, you're doing well at this point. That's like basically all you can do. I'm just taking your creeps. It kind of sucks. I guess he's just given up because he's like 0-7. So yeah, the game's almost over. See, is there anything else? I guess there's like maybe a team fight in the base. Let's have a look at this. So let's see. See how you play this last one out. Okay, so here's the fight. Okay. Flash. Okay. I'm not sure this was a winnable fight, but I think you played it not great anyway. So you need to realize that like your highest value targets in this fight are this Ahri, Kai'Sa, and Lulu, right? But when you flash ult here, the only people you hit are the 2 tanks. Like these are the 2 people that you don't care about. So like in this situation, like it is hard, right? Because you guys are really, really far behind. But I actually think if you had walked down more and looked for a flash ult from this side, you might have been able to kill some people in the backline here. Instead, it's like you're dashing into 3 tanks and there's no marks on either of their carries. You're just not really going to be able to do anything. And like, yeah, I mean, the fight was pretty one-sided. You probably wouldn't have been able to win that fight anyway. But I actually do think the game was probably winnable. Like, you have a really insane scaling comp. And you had a lot of chances to carry this game. And you kind of just, like, gave them all away. So let's bring up the notes and start writing them down. So, oh, this is going to blind me again. So in the early game, I'll say some good things first. Your Irelia mechanics, they're very, very good. You have some room to improve. I think some of your E's could probably be casted quicker. And like I think maybe you missed a few too many of them, but I think for the most part, your Irelia mechanics are very good. You do a lot of like stuff with your Q that I wouldn't expect out of a plat player. That's pretty cool. I do like that. But in the early game, the main thing that you kind of have is that you're giving too much back. So when you're playing a melee champion like Irelia, like you need to be very, very aware of how big a target you have on your back. So you need to like every wave think about whether or not you should push. So like I think you should get into the habit of when the new waves meet in mid, so like when wave 2 comes, when wave 3 comes, literally every wave, get into the habit of thinking like, okay, should I push this wave or not? And the things you can evaluate, so evaluate the vision around mid, so do I have vision on either side? Junglers, so like where is my jungler? Where is their jungler? Also your flash should be another one, like do I have flash? Do I not have flash? And also think, I'm going to put enemy mid resources. So like, for example, if Ahri has like no flash, no R, it's like an absolute death sentence for her to be on your side of the lane because she's just going to die, right? And you need to just like, in general, I think you just need to like think more maybe like in your early game, like if you hadn't given so much back, you'd be in such a good spot. Let's also just like go back so I can kind of like remind myself. Like, yeah, you're in a good spot here. Yeah, I think you're oh yeah, you should also like think about I don't know if I said this before, but think about where your jungler is as well. So like when your jungler is off the map or when your jungler can't pressure, it's like a very bad time to trade. So I guess maybe like in general, thinking about like when not to trade. This is, I would rather like see like what you're doing now, that you're too aggressive rather than too passive. That's good because I think it's easier to dial back like aggressiveness than it is to like bring up passiveness. I do like that, but I think like you just need to think about it, you know? You need to just like start evaluating some more things rather than just like what's happening purely in the 1v1. And I think like maybe in general you need to like realize just how punishing it is to die. Like if you want to carry the game, you can't afford to have like these sort of deaths where you lose like 2 waves and stuff like that. Oh, also I think your roam is very bad, so like you need to like I guess just like take high percentage roams. So like when you're playing a champion like Irelia, you don't have the best roams, so you really want to think about like what a good roam is going to be. So generally this is going to be like enemy sums, CC in the lane, like from your from your side. Like you have a Vlad, right? You didn't have any CC. Also wave position. So like when you ran top here, you basically ran to a lane that has sums, a lane with no CC, and where the wave is like basically in the middle. So I would say it's pretty much like, it just ticks all the boxes for like being a bad roam. The only good thing about it was that you left in time, so I do like that. And like it's normally going to happen on Irelia because you push it pretty fast. So I think that was good. I think also you should be like more willing to freeze slash not push the wave, because like in general Irelia actually prefers the wave on her side because it gives you, you're an extended trade champion, so you have like more distance to run down. Also you're very gankable, so you want the wave on your side, and generally enemy champions will be very scared to have the wave on their side versus Irelia, but a lot of them will be safe under tower against Irelia. It's very, you have to be quite far ahead to just 100-0 dive someone under their tower, especially a champion like Ahri that has mobility and has CC. So I think you should be more willing to keep the wave on your side. Generally, the reasons you're pushing is so that you can use your prior for something. But Irelia is not a champion that uses prior very well. She's not that great at invading, and she doesn't have good roaming. So prior is not as valuable for you on Irelia in general. So I think like all these things in the early game led you to being quite a lot further behind than you should be. But you do make, like, I don't know, you're making a lot of good plays, right? But you're also making a lot of bad plays, and that's why it's making it hard to carry, because you're just not as ahead as you should be, basically. This, kind of whatever. So let's talk about the mid game. So when you're behind, it is just going to be hard. Like, you need to, I guess, like, be very conscious, or like, is that how you spell conscious? I don't think so. So I'm not going to type it. I just, like, think carefully about, like, which waves you can farm in the mid game. So like there were a lot of times where you said like you're not sure what you can do other than catch waves, but a lot of the time you weren't catching waves. Like you were just walking up and dying, right? Like you weren't waiting for it to be on your side, and that is the reality of a champ like Irelia. Like if your team falls really far behind in Irelia and you're not strong enough to like 1v2 in the side lane, then yeah, you're just not going to be able to do that much. But I think you definitely had the tools to where if you were strong this game, like you would have been able to keep pressuring. I did like that you traded quite well. Like when you realized you couldn't go to the Baron, I guess you could have got that tower. When you realized you also couldn't hold the Baron, you did that well. You like punished on the other side. I think like identifying weak side in the mid game. So like there was a time where you were very obviously weak-sided, where all the vision was topside and your jungle was topside, and you were still trying to push out on the bot side. I think it was right here. This was very greedy and like another very obvious death. Maybe for both the mid game and the early game, thinking about vision, like I kind of get the feeling that you don't really think about vision that much, and I kind of understand that because I think like Irelia can normally play more aggressively without vision than other champions because she's so strong. Like a lot of the time you can 1v2 or even 1v3 if you're strong enough. But this is not the game where you can kind of do that because just you're not as ahead as you should be, basically. So yeah, maybe a last thing is like in that what's it called? Oh, I should go D&D. I just forgot about that. In that team fight at the end, like target prioritization, we didn't see that many team fights or skirmishes from you this game. Like in that last team fight, like you don't want to hit tanks, basically. Like hitting tanks should be your last kind of resort. You much prefer to hit like those 3 carries in the backline. You probably know this already, right? But it wasn't optimal. So I think basically like you could have won this game, and it was mainly your early game that needs to be cleaned up a lot. I think like it's clear that you understand a lot of stuff about the early game, but it's just not clean enough to allow you to kind of like consistently carry the game, really. I think that's like really the big difference, is that like if you want that like higher win rate, you need to clean up this early game a lot. As a champion like Irelia, I think you really want to come out of the early game being like 2-0 or 3-0. You really don't want to be something like 4-4, because it's like not going to convert well enough to wins, basically. So I think that is pretty much it. What I'll do is I'll copy paste this all to you on Fiverr as well. Actually, you know what, I'll put like how to work on this. So I think in general, build a habit of, I guess, like thinking about the wave / vision when the next wave comes. So basically you should see the next wave coming out of base like, okay, when the wave comes into your lane, you should think about all these things. You should evaluate your vision, your jungler, you know, your flash, enemy mid resource. It's going to be hard to focus on doing this all at once. So I think at the start, just build a habit of when that wave comes mid, just be like, okay, I need to think about something. You know, it's going to be very difficult for you to instantly think about like, oh, should I push or not? Do I have vision? Where are my junglers? You know, where's their jungler? Do I have flash? Like, do I want to push this or not? Do I want to trade or not trade? Like, it's a lot of stuff, right? But you can build this habit of just thinking about something when the next wave comes, and then eventually you'll be able to put all of these kind of like, you'll be able to put all of these in like eventually, right? You'll just be able to build them up. I think the next thing that is really important for you is you need to be like way more willing to freeze / pull the wave, and also just like not roam. Like, you don't have to roam on Irelia, really. You can like literally perma freeze the wave on your side and make it extremely hard for the enemy mid to play. I think like Irelia is definitely a champion where you can come out of the mid, or sorry, out of the early game with like 100 CS at 10 minutes because she is so easy to CS on and she wins most of her lanes. So I think for me, like if you work on these, I mean, this is a big one, right? I'm saying like work on these two things, but this is a massive one. And also, if you just like experiment a bit more with like pulling and freezing the wave, it'll be a lot better for you. I think these are the two biggest things that you need to work on. And I think for you to kind of like speed this up, a good way to do this would be play a game out normally and then go into replay and watch each wave. So what you could do is like you could just like record a game of you doing like this and literally just like, okay, say a wave comes out like this, pause the game, try like go through the checklist I gave you of all the stuff and just like think about it all, right? And then literally skip 30 seconds ahead. I guess when you're live again, okay, new waves coming out, pause the game again, think about all this again, and eventually it'll just become more natural for you to do in the game. So yeah, I think those are like definitely the things you can work on. Oh yeah, wait, is my cam covering this? No, it's not. Okay, so you can screenshot this. I'll send it to you on Fiverr as well. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. You can just message me on Discord or Fiverr or whatever. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, good luck. I actually think like your Irelia mechanics were very good. I think you have like a good, like, you're gonna hit diamond, I think, if you fix a lot of these things. So really looking forward to that. Let me know how it goes, and if you need any help, yeah, let me know. Thanks for watching.